Hey, hey, everybody! And it's everybody. There are people here. It's really exciting. I haven't been in a classroom with this many students in like several years, so yay, interaction. I really appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Luckily, it's gotten a little bit cooler today. It was actually kind of pleasant at times. It was hot and summery, but thanks for making it in. So tonight we are going to be doing pair programming. Oh, and by the way, I've got the Zoom running so I can record this in case anybody wants to catch up on anything that we discuss. But I don't think we'll be using the Zoom unless I don't know we want to share screens or something out. So uh, so anyway, so it's going to be like a live lecture, which will be fun for me anyway. So let's see here. Tonight, we'll open up the Prime Minister's questions. Then we'll talk about our pair programming activity, and then we'll do it. And that will take up most of the time in class. And I'll get into more detail about all of that here shortly. But first, I want to open things up. So tonight, the first assignment was due, the Java koans. Got some good questions and stuff over the weekend. Now that it's said and done, and I hope most people are said and done, what did you think? What was your experience like with the koans? What would you like me to know about the project, the assignment, and how it worked or didn't work for you? Yeah.
I think that having,
Mhm.
I would have liked it to be a little more elegant, so that, because I feel like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this thing works, and then I saw the message and I want to put that in.
Yeah. So I agree that it takes a lot of discipline not to just merely say, "Oh, here's the next answer, copy paste that in." You start going to the next koan a little prejudiced, towards the answer, and I I think so. What I want to do about that is I want to change the harness that runs it to instead to basically say, oh, if no answer has been provided yet, then don't spit out the answer. Just say something like was it not incomplete? What was it say? Expected this, but was that replace me, right? So if the answer is replace me, then I'll say something expected something other than replace me, but was replace me, and then that will force you to like put in some answer, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. Yeah, I think that will make it just put a little bit more, require a little bit more effort, and make it less tempting to just copy and paste the answer. Yeah, yeah.
This might be competitive stuff. I feel like the forms that I have now will be a good reference for the program assignments. So maybe I want to figure out how to format that. For my actual learning and understanding of the material, I wish that there was more like coding an entire class or given a method
Yep.
requirement. I have like a whole method versus just kind of like trying to figure out what the number is for this problem.
Yeah, that's a very good point. By design, the koans are these tiny little code fragments that focus on a particular language feature or a particular API. And yeah, that's not the kind of code that you're used to that that you really write in the real world. Starting in project one and starting with your katas tonight, you will be writing those methods. You will be writing sort of a more normal looking code. So hopefully the koans have got you off to a good start for the rest of the course, which will be writing complete functions, or at least ending up with complete functions after doing test-driven development. Yeah.
Kind of echoing some of the stuff that we're saying, like the answer thing really there. In some respects, there were a couple of questions that you would actually have to fill out the whole function, fill out the whole method, and then there were a couple other ones where the place where the thing you changes what the expected answer is, so you can't just guess from the expected answer. Yep. And I almost wonder if it would take more work, but changing it to each lesson file maybe has a couple of the ones where you kind of predict the answer, and then a couple where the answer is that one, I can't remember this one, but that, like, the answer, it was, I think it was one of the ones, like, the operation. The expected answer was changing based on what you were doing, not the match.
Oh, interesting.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't, you couldn't just plug it in.
Yep.
And then also have one where you actually build out the whole bunch, like, per lesson, so like you can work your way up per concept.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, and I agree. It would be interesting to have a more like holistic. What's the right word? Sort of like, great, we've had all the pieces, parts, and here's the comprehensive. Maybe that's the right word for it. You know, a more comprehensive koan that lets you apply multiple of the things that you learn. Yep. You'll also have your first project to apply lots of things that you've learned. So good. No, I appreciate the feedback. It's great stuff.
Sometimes the questions just it felt like more you were chasing down how to get the exact right type of answer.
Well, which is something you have to do a lot in Java. So I think it's all part of the lesson. You're right. And so hopefully it means that, after you fumbled through it once with the koans, it'll be, more straightforward when you encounter a similar situation with a kata that you do in a pair or mob or in your project classes. Yep. Nice. Anything? Yeah. 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 So the koans are kind of old by now. They're probably closer to 10 years old. And they emphasize some of the older APIs, in particular, the date APIs. In your projects, we'll see that when we talk about project 3. We don't use Java yield date anymore. We use the Java time local date time. And so I could, as a matter of fact, if you would, just send me an IM on Slack and say, hey, how about some katas? How about some koans about the Java time stuff? Because that would be helpful, and I can without too much difficulty, modify them to use that new time API because that's what we'll be using in class. And the IO versus NIO. There are some things like the file API, which is kind of falling out of fashion in some areas. But the thing about the NIO is there's a lot of like really advanced IO abstractions for doing like high performant IO, and it's overkill for the kinds of things you're going to be doing in this course, right? You're just writing like a very simple file that's probably like a couple of kilobytes long at the absolute most. And the old APIs work great for that. They provide nice, easy abstractions where you start. But if you're doing things with like highly efficient memory transfers and or like memory mapping of files and stuff like that, there are APIs to do that in Java. And it's really cool because you can do like really fancy graphic stuff pretty fast in Java and all of that. But it's not beyond the scope of this course. Let's see here. We also have Project 1 and Project 2 that have been assigned. I think Project 1 is due a week from today on the 17th. People are just finishing up their koans. But any questions about Project 1 or Project 2? Or observations about this year? Okay, that's okay. What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming up that I want to talk about. Nope. Other than stuff is progressing. I have to admit, as you may recall, this is the first time I've taught 2 nights a week. I'm overall liking it. I think the pacing is working much better in the past, I think I find that I have more energy at the end of like a 2+ hour course than like a 4+ hour course, and so then it means I get to like talk more. It means that I think each day is more discrete and lets us focus a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ah, the intent was, and this is something that the grader asked me about. The intent of that question was there is an existing repository. And you only use git init when you create a new repository. So I think that's why people put git init got partial credit. I also realized I can clarify that in the question better. So what I'll do for next time is I'll, I'll emphasize that it is an existing repository in GitHub, for instance. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned git init, because I mean, yes, it's a command that you use, although we didn't use it in this class, to create a repository in GitHub, and then you just end up cloning it and and doing push and pull. So I mean, the intent was that you emphasize the workflow, which is clone the repository, make a little commit, push it up, pull new changes, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think you lost too many points for that. Just a little bit. But yeah, that was the intent. Any other questions for the Prime Minister? So the focus of tonight will be pair programming. Now, last week you got to observe me working with a couple of students while pairing. So I hope you got to understand the flow of it. And we'll go back and review some of the things that we learned. But first of all, I want to talk about the expectations for pairing and mobbing in this course. So, as we talk about, traditionally and stereotypically, software development programming is seen as a solitary pursuit, right? The lone wolf programmer off in, I was going to say their cave, but let's face it, the stereotype is always like an old white dude like myself. They're banging away in code and they're pumping caffeinated drinks and everything like that. And a lot of bad code's been written that way. Yes. Of course, there are the rare genius that thrives in that and has great, wonderful code that everybody can understand. But that's I'm sure it's happened sometimes. It doesn't happen as much as people think it does. And because what resulted was a lot of code that was hard to understand. You had individuals that became bottlenecks, and all these decisions were made in isolation. And so instead of taking in multiple points of view and good input, you ended up with a lot of siloing. So people, it was hard to scale these kinds of things because there was all this information that was held in one person's head, or maybe only a couple of individuals' head. And so you end up with architectures and designs and implementations that are suboptimal because the entire context of the larger system wasn't taken into account. So in contemporary software development, is largely recognized, not everywhere, but it's largely recognized that software engineering is a team activity. This is where it takes multiple people in multiple roles, right? It's not just people writing the code; it's the people that validate the code. It's the people that advocate for the customer, advocate for the user of the software that's being built. And so it takes a lot of people to really bring high quality software to the marketplace, to others to take advantage of to solve their problems. So this realization that it takes a team to build software is really put into practice with pair programming and mob programming. And the whole idea here is that, by design, multiple people are working on solving the same problem at the same time. When you have this, and pairing it with, and also leveraging techniques like test-driven development, what you end up with is very rapid feedback loops. Defects are found very shortly after they are introduced. And you end up with a resilient group, a group of people that understand the problem and its solution. And this makes for a much more resilient system, right? Someone can go on vacation and all the knowledge is still there. Work can still continue. So I'd like you to experience different kinds of software development in this course. So the programming project assignments, that's your individual work. That's when you get to go work off on your own and apply what you've learned and to demonstrate how well you've learned it. However, we'll also take time to experience both pair and mob programming. And we'll do this in class here. And we'll do this by implementing what are called code katas, like that FizzBuzz that we saw last week. Remember, sorry, I saw it on Monday. As you'll recall, this is a simple programming project that is meant to teach you something. So it's not, it's not necessarily about solving a particular problem. It's the way that you solve it. It's a good way to explore new languages, new programming techniques, new APIs, new ways of coding, like pairing and mobbing. So as we saw last week, there's a public GitHub repository. And here again, it is a public GitHub repository that we all share. And so then, unlike your private repository where you made a copy of it, we're all going to use the same one. This will save some time during class, so let's make things go faster. So what I'd like you to do, while I'm up here spieling away, if you haven't gotten yourself a clone, a local clone of this repository, please go do it. And I will post the, let's see here, I will post the link in Slack again. There is the Kata repository. So I'll get back to my phone to see what Angel said. Make sure it's not something sensitive. Oops. Sorry, yeah. So please make sure that you can get that. You can access that repository, and also if you didn't receive an invitation to edit it, please let me know, and I will. Okay, just please. And I will add you as a collaborator. We also talked about code with me. Since we're all in the same room, I don't recommend trying to get it to work tonight. It's okay. Okay. So there will be 2 opportunities to pair and 2 opportunities to mob, and I'd like you to participate in both. Tonight, we're all in class, we're in person. I feel it's important to experience both pairing and mobbing for the first time in person. However, remote pairing and remote mobbing is certainly a thing, so you can do. So next Wednesday, there will also be a pair programming activity, and you can participate remotely if you'd like. I encourage you to be in the classroom. There's a lot you said is actually physically being there. But also, if it doesn't work out for you, or if you want to try it remotely, feel free to do so. I'd be really interested in your comparing and contrasting your experiences being in person and remote. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to do a pair programming kata. And we'll split off into pairs. We'll work in those pomodoros, right? Those short little working sessions, and then we'll spend about an hour or so pairing, and then I'd like each pair to talk about what their experiences were. There's a place on the Google Doc for us for you to capture those experiences, and. Then we'll talk about it here as a class. I'll give you an opportunity to talk about, with the other pairs, what you saw. Each student will have, not have opportunity, will be required to take the opportunity to be the driver in every exercise and also be the navigator. So again, you'll be passing the roles back and forth to see what it's like to be the person whose hands are on the keyboard, and also to be that's the driver, and also to be the navigator, who's the person who is trying to get the thoughts in their brain into the code through somebody else's hands. I expect that each driver have 4 opportunities to commit to the GitHub repository, and since we're all sharing the same one, I'll be able to tell who's committed when. And so then it's 4 for the pairing katas and 2 for the mobbing, the ensemble katas. And we'll talk more about mob programming next week and the week after that. So that's what we're doing tonight. We have this kata experience. Now, there is a portion of your grade that is influenced by your participation in mobbing and pairing. And that is, it's not based on the code that you write. So, just to be clear, you'll be working together, and hey, if you don't get the kata done, that's fine. It's about the experience working with a pair. Or hey, if you and your pairing partners like totally blow the kata away and it's great and you refactor it, well, that's awesome too. But that's not going to influence your grade. What will influence your grade is a reflection that you make on it. So there is a quiz on Canvas that I believe opens next week at the end of the second pairing session, where you're asked to write about your experiences pairing, and there'll be another reflection for mobbing. There's a couple of short answer questions in that quiz. And so on that quiz, you'll be asked to name who you paired with, and we'll actually record this in the poem.xml on GitHub so you'll know who your partner is. And then, but please, make it easier for the grader who reviews these by putting in the link to your code that you wrote within the repository. And note that it does need to compile. I'm not going to run it, but we may look at it for completeness. Make sure that you made some effort and stuff, because there are a lot of you, and so I'll be around tonight to sort of checking in with people and stuff. But we're looking for completeness. We're not looking for correctness. Expect some code to be written. Let's see here. Right, and that's how I can see who wrote all that. Oh, sorry, I still have links from Winter. Yeah, I guess I didn't fix this link from last time. Apologize for that. But most importantly, as part of the reflection, I want you to describe what your experiences were like. What did you notice? Compare and contrast the two pairs that you were a part of. What was it like the first time? What was it like the second time? What was it like working on different katas and with different people, presumably? And then also, in general, based on your experiences, I'd like you to think about and then write about what situations would be effective for pairing and which ones would be ineffective, to sort of demonstrate that you've thought about what this means in the broader context. And again, just because I once had some students that thought that they could mob program on one of the projects, the phone bill projects are your own work, and that they're to be done on your own. The katas that we do in class is when you get to work with others in pairs and mobs. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Roughly speaking, we'll be doing pair programming tonight and next Wednesday, and then later on in the course we'll be doing mock programming. We still got a little more to talk about, but do you understand the requirements of like the reflection and how your experiences will be assessed? Yeah.
Once you get back into the mix, so whoever's driving for kata will be on their machine with their GitHub.
Yeah, that's the intent. That sort of like, hey, when you are the driver, you're working on your own machine. Passing keyboards back and forth doesn't seem as cool as it once did.
And then we'll give the name of the partner. Grader, we will check what yours in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, let's. Oh, sorry. Any other questions though? Okay. Well. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good question. So, like, a link to the location. So, let's say that you are. We're doing leap years kata, and there are all these pair directories. Let's say you're pair 12. Like, if you send like the link to this directory, right? Yeah, and this will sort of let us know which pair you were, so we can look in here and look at the Git history and things like that. But actually, let's do that. So I guess the first thing, okay, does everybody have a checkout of the a clone of the Katas repository? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's time to find partners. I don't really have a way of assigning partners or anything like that. So I guess a couple of things. So please take a couple minutes, find a partner, introduce yourself, and There are also 4 projectors here. If anybody wants to try the projectors, I have a HDMI cable here in this red bag. If you want to use that. So yeah, find partners, and then we'll get started with the katas.
There's when I was in the next class, we had to cut the squid out of the air. That's your daughter. No, I just need that. You might need to look at how.
Say what?
Or I can ask Kevin for the squid.
Ask Kevin for the squid. What are you talking about?
Yeah, when I had a class with him in this room, we had to plug in a big power strip from over there.
Oh.
No power strip here. And it had like 8 connections on it.
Sorry, I came with HDMI cables, not with power strips.
Yeah. Yeah, we can squeeze this desk up. Yeah.
Yeah, I can, and I've also got a cord. Yeah, you can either plug in over here. Yeah, well, you're gonna be able to see that. Well, I don't know if you're gonna use projector or not. Okay. Yeah.
I don't really care.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'm just gonna pause the recording. Well, maybe I won't. Okay. Oh. So let's see here. Does everybody have a partner? Are there any trios? It's okay if there are. I can see the 3 of you working together. Is there a 4th one over here at this table? Okay, great. Okay, awesome. And so then, oh, is there not? So wait, is there? Yeah. Join a trio if you'd like. Yeah, make a trio. And actually, absolutely okay. Yep, and you'll figure it out. And it may be easiest if a trio is at a projector. So if there's a projector that's not being used, kindly ask people to use a projector because you have more screen real estate. It'll be easier to see. Okay. Okay. I'll now I need to assign pairs so everybody's got a number. So. Okay, so let's see here. Pair 1, pair 2, trio 3, pair 4, pair 5, pair 6, pair 7, pair 8, pair 9, pair 10, 11, 12, 13. 11. Oh, sorry. Okay, figure it out yourself. Right. Okay. Please claim your project in GitHub by opening up in IntelliJ or whatever text editor you're using. In the leap years directory, there are a bunch of subdirectories. Every pair's got one. So go to your pairs directory and open up the pom.xml file. I've got 2 here. That's done. And here's what I want each person to do. So decide amongst yourselves whether you are, student 1 or student 2. And in your pairs pom.xml file, please enter your name. Have each person do this for their own name. So this will be an exercise to make sure that first and foremost, every single one of us has the ability to, So edit the file to put in your first name and last name, and then commit it and push it up to GitHub.
Do we modify the ID or leave that at student?
You can, ID doesn't matter, you can leave that. The goal, the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that everybody has the ability to push to the GitHub repository. Yep. For what? Sure, if you want, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, so I don't even need that. Yeah. Okay, we are back. And now that everybody is able to go through the workflow of making a change and pulling in everybody else's changes and then committing it, pulling everybody else's changes and then pushing yours up, now let's start some pairing. Let's start some coding. So, our kata tonight will be the leap years kata. Oh, and I'll post this again in the, I'll post a couple of things here in Slack. Let's see here. Here is the pairing handout. And then our kata is the leap years kata. And I will, here is our kata. So this kata is really straightforward. And I encourage you to do it in a test-driven style. And so the whole idea is that it asks that the program inputs a year, so like 2024, and it returns whether or not a year is a leap year. Because it is, then you want to display, you want to have February 29th that year. And so here are the rules for a leap year. All years divisible by 400 are leap years, so like 2000 was. All years that are divisible by 100 but not 400 are not leap years. So 1700 and 1900 were not leap years, and 2100 won't be a leap year either. Otherwise, all years divisible by 4 but not 100 are leap years, like, 2008, 2016, and 2024. And then any year that is not divisible by 4 is not a leap year. So like, 2021 was not a leap year. Now, obviously this is very simple logic, but that's okay. What you're here to do is not implement, or just implement it. You're here to learn about test-driven development and pair programming doing the leap years kata. Now, I know I went through that pretty quick, and there's all this nice preamble about history and stuff like that, but are there any questions about the kata itself and sort of what you're looking to accomplish in this pair program? Yeah.
So just to clarify, you said earlier, so the input would be a user would enter a year, and then you would
Yes, the user provides a year. Now, you could implement it as reading it from the command line or something like that, or I mean, it'd be perfectly fine just to have like a little unit test, like kind of do with FizzBuzz, right? The FizzBuzz last week, we started out with a unit test to write a simple FizzBuzz method that takes a number and says whether or not the result is a fizz or buzz or the number back. So I think one of the things that you and your partner should figure out, and the first thing we're going to do is open up with a quick 5 minutes of just sort of like talking and brainstorming and figuring out what it might. What the implementation might look like, is to make decisions like, hey, how do you want to take that input from the user? Do you want to bother reading it as a command line argument and then using an integration test to test it? Or should you just write a unit test, or you have some other idea? Just make a practical choice, realizing that we have like an hour to do this. Okay, so that's the kata itself. Now I want to make some reminders about pair programming and how it's going to work. Oops. So I think we've already gone through this part where you've gone and found your directory for your pair, and you have updated the developer section with your names. So good, glad we already did that. Now it's time to start pairing. So we're going to work in these time boxes. Let's only take 5 minutes to learn about the kata and come up with a rough game plan. Maybe you want to think about some like given, when, then scenarios for this kata. And then it'll be time to start the pairing. So decide who will be the first driver and who will be the first navigator. And then I'll be the timekeeper for the Pomodoro since we're all here. And then we'll do 10-minute Pomodoros. So for 7 minutes, do some test for development, right? The driver is there at the keyboard writing tests in your project. And actually, let me just, in case you haven't already explored this, inside each pair's directory is a Maven project. And so each pair has a main class called leap years. Right now it starts out very simple. It's just got a main method. But for test-driven development, there's also a leap years test. And this starts out exactly like our kata did, our FizzBuzz kata did last week. There's like no code here. So this is an opportunity for you to write some unit tests. And here again, part of the pairing is to sort of remind each other, oh yeah, what's the syntax using the at test, and what assert do you use, and everything like that. So talk with each other and figure it out. And each pair also has a leap years integration test if you want to write an integration test. I don't really have a preference either way. So has everybody? So please take a moment and locate the leap years test, the leap years class, and the leap years IT for your pair. Okay. So has everybody found their code? So this will be code that you'll be working with tonight. Please stay within your project and to avoid conflicts with other people's code. How do you run the? Well, if you're running you can run unit tests through IntelliJ. And if you want to run the main program, you can. Okay, yeah, you should be in leap years in your pair.
That's just, well, I'm on VS Code.
Wait, so are we starting now?
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll start off with 5 minutes of just brainstorming the problem now.
So you can't run text.
Okay. So that was the coding that we're going to do tonight. So please commit and push. Have the final driver commit and push. Now I'd like to take an extended period of time. We'll put 10 minutes on the clock to reflect on the entire experience tonight. So here at the very bottom of that Google Doc that I shared, there's a link in the Slack channel, is an opportunity for you to, you and your partner to reflect and do a deeper reflection on what you experienced tonight. So please capture, talk to your partner about some things that worked well, things that you thought were effective in pair programming that helped you get the job done. Capture some things that didn't go well, some things that kind of got in your way, or hopefully you overcame them, but maybe you didn't. And then ideas for the future. You're going to be doing this again next Wednesday. What are some of the reminders that you have to your future self about what it is that you'd like to consider when you're paired with presumably somebody else to do a different kata? So I'll put 10 minutes on the clock, and we'll do that. Okay. Yeah, it was 10 minutes for reflection. Sounds like the conversation is still going strong, but it's 8 o'clock. It's almost my bedtime. So Time for me to get going home.
That's it. Nice to
And maybe you too. So, I'm really curious. I was watching folks populate the Google Doc that we had, but I'd like to hear from some of you. We're not going to do all 13 because that would take a long time. But who would like to talk about their experiences pairing tonight and share some of your insights with the rest of the class? Sit down real fast. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, what number were you? And I'll scroll down to your seat. Sorry? 9. Great. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So it's the, gosh, again, what is it? So it's like from the extreme of like do it yourself, which is like manual intelligence, versus having the AI sort of like tell you its answer. It's like, yeah, it seems like a middle ground where you can actually have a conversation so you feel like you own a little bit of it and someone else owns a little bit of it. That's a great observation. Other thoughts you'd like to share? Yeah. Yeah, good learning that, yeah, I mean, the solution might seem easy, but then sort of the benefits of having that discipline of yeah, going in small steps, keep making sure your partner is, right right there with you. I'm glad that that it turned out. It's one of the things that we're hoping to learn and experience here, because this is a dirt simple, right, sort of, first year of CSS, CS, ought to be able to do this, no problem. Don't worry, the next kata next week's going to be a little bit more challenging. But this is all about experiencing the first time and getting GitHub to work or anything like that. And yeah, that's it. Nice. Okay. Look, partner, totally in sync. Have the same answer. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. Pretty good. Yeah, glad you had a good time. Other thoughts, observations, surprises? Did you, think it was going to be one way and turn out to be another? Yeah.
10 minutes is so short. I was surprised how quickly the time passed when it's navigating or driving.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it a little bit. It was a little hard to get into the flow through 10%.
That's a good point. It's something that I kind of worry about too. Like, what is the right length of the Pomodoro? What do other people think about the length? Felt a little too short? Okay. Yeah.
It seemed really short at the beginning too. But then by the end it seemed
Okay, yeah. So like at the beginning, it was like, oh, you're maybe trying to all figure it out, but then yeah, once you sort of hit the stride, okay, yeah, you sort of know what to do and how long it takes. Okay.
It was a little paralyzing that way. It was a little confusing to start for me just because, like, we talked a little bit about tester development. We talked about like the ping ponging, but we're not doing that. Or I guess we could have, but we didn't.
Good. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't review like the whole. Well, probably strong pairing in this case isn't appropriate, but yeah, like the ping pong style where one person writes a test. Yeah, and then I don't know if you can really fit that in the Pomodoros or not. You don't want to sit there for 3.5 minutes after you've written the test. But yeah. How do people find the test-driven development? And did you follow that? Was it beneficial? Were there struggles? Yeah. Hmm. Others? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people get stuck on procedural things like you imported the wrong, somehow imported the wrong thing. And not, maybe it's because you want to know the number. But, and like, that's not just like, I have that before. And like, so that's really the progress of like getting an investment. Which is like, it's important to work with, but it is like the most frustrating thing about like everything that we can't actually do. So, importing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. It's good learning, right? When you write the test, you have to think about the interface that your code provides, and yeah, and that helps you determine like what types and how many arguments, and sort of like what the shape of the data should be, and you do it by example as opposed to just sort of daydreams. Oh, okay, yeah, I think it should work this way, and you start there. Nice, good learnings. And back to what you were saying about oh, IntelliJ imported the wrong thing, and I didn't realize and everything. Yeah. Um, one of the things that I've come to appreciate about pairing and mob programming is that when there are multiple people working together, you get really good insight into the tools that you use. And when different people use different tools, and how do you reconcile their environments? Like, oh yeah, I'm used to using VI. Oh, I'm used to using Emacs, or right? And you just realize that that's one of the things you need to agree on when you're working with someone. It's like, okay, what are the tools? And then when you're in a mob and like everybody else is using a different tool set, and you're like the odd person out, you need to figure out because they can't help you if there's something wrong with your environment. So it's part of the learning is figuring out how to reconcile different approaches, different tools, and different styles. What are some ideas that people had for next time? I'm just curious. Want to read through some of these? Yeah, longer pomodoros. Oh, Zoom for screen sharing. Yeah, which yeah, yeah, I'm glad we tried it this way. Next week, if you want to take the option to be remote, we'll do pairing that way, and of course it'll be Zoom for screen sharing. But we can also use it for the in person if that'd be better. Probably for mobbing, when we use these 4 stations, it probably makes most sense to have one laptop plugged in with a Zoom breakout room there, so we can figure that. Yep, shared whiteboarding. Yep, longer interval of time. Let's talk about that some more, because I mean, so many people brought up this longer interval. So, what was it about the 7 minutes that made it seem short? People are just used to like having infinite time because they're all on your own. You weren't ready to switch. Yeah. Yeah. more time to more time to get tired and have it be someone else's turn. Yeah, and actually that's a good point. Um, the Pomodoro technique, the theory behind it is that it's effective because you have a set period of time that's always the same. Because it forces you to take a break, which actually helps you sustain longer. I think it's also important for me that we start out with time boxes in pairing so that one person doesn't dominate. That's one of the things that I'm very attuned to the dynamic, and part of what we want to learn is give each person a chance to be the driver and the navigator a couple of times so you can figure it out. So I think that's why I like the the 7-2-1 10-minute rounds. But I agree that maybe a couple more minutes would be helpful. We can try it next time. Yeah. Well, but that's okay because you're the sorry. In that case, were you the navigator or the driver?
I mean, a bit of both.
Right. And the nice thing is though that you switch roles, and so then you can. So if you're the driver, you've got the idea. When you become the navigator, oh, geez, you're in control. Or if you're the navigator and you become the driver, you can say, hey, listen, I've got here's my idea. What do you think? And then if the navigator says, oh yeah, it's a good idea, let's pursue that, then you can. So yeah, I agree. It can be sort of jarring at first, especially when you're sort of it's your code, it's the way you're writing it. But there are techniques for being able to continue the flow, continue the thought, even though you're playing a different role. Nice. Was that another thing you wanted to say? What? Yeah.
So I was just, 3 minutes. It's for us to then between ideas. So 3 minutes is not enough. So like after we got the logic done, then we did the 3 minutes was not long enough to figure out the next step. So it's divided into like the develop
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, and I think that's okay, right? The after the 7-minute coding, the 2 minutes of reflection is, and I know it can be hard to then switch into hey, let's take a step outside and think about how the interaction went. Not so much the code; it's the how we work, not the what we did. But that's where you sort of have the ideas of hey, let's oh hey. I'll have a browser. Well, I'm the navigator. I have a browser over here, and that I can type into Google to figure things out. Or that's the time to say, it was really difficult for me to articulate this thing. Was I making sense, or how can I communicate more effectively? Yep. How did people find the Git and the GitHub and everything? Another part of this whole exercise was 15 pairs of people all contributing to the same GitHub repository. How'd it go? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay. Good. Okay, good. I'm glad. Because again, my early experience with this is that we began class. We began this class with everybody figuring out, can I push the repository and everything like that. In years past, I did that, and everybody had to create their own repository. And there were some teams that was we're half an hour into this thing, and you're still figuring out how to do it. It's oh my gosh. So that's. Even though there's some startup costs, I think it's the most streamlined way for us to do it. Yeah.
The only thing I'd change about that would be, I don't know, it might add a little bit of complexity, but possibly not, because you can just, I would have each pair, each group, make a branch, check out a branch, and that way just that group is working on their branch. That way, because I'm not touching anybody else's files, but my commit gets clobbered by everybody else's push in the time it takes me to type my password, and I have to do another pull as I'm committing. I start my push and it goes. By the time I get done, I pull, I commit, I push. By the time I get to typing my password, it says my commit's no longer valid because there's been 50 other rewrites on remote.
Oh, all things is one. Right? Yeah.
So if we were on a branch together, we wouldn't be clobbering each other because we'd be pretty well, and nobody else would clobber me. And then the grader just PRs everything back in the main.
Okay, yeah, that would probably reduce that pain a little bit, but I don't know. I think it's good to experience that. Yeah.
We're spending talking, and I'm spending 5 minutes dealing with the git commit error issue every cycle.
Resolve conflicts like that. It's really the rebase option, right? So we make an option, fast forward, rebase, or merge. Try rebasing, especially if your changes shouldn't overlap with anyone else's, whether you're on different files, different elements. Sometimes just a quick rebase before pulling will kind of resolve these sort of things. Because that would allow us quite often.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, good thing to try for next time. Okay. Well, good. Hey, thank you for all coming in tonight. I'm sorry, we're not done. We're not done. Sorry. I wanted to thank you, for participating and for capturing all of this stuff. The document will be here for next time. I want to give a quick preview of what's coming up next. So, on Monday. We got some cool stuff going on. We're going to be talking a little bit about continuous integration, but we're going to talk about code refactoring. And we're going to be doing, there'll be another kata, which is all about code refactoring. I did it for the first time, the first time like in this format in the winter, and the students really liked it because it was something different. So I encourage you to attend live. You can be remote if you want. Basically what we're going to be doing is learning about, we're going to have a really purposefully awful, ugly code base, and there are going to be all these smelly code in there, and we're going to team up to figure out, hey, what are some of the code smells, and then we're going to try to make the code better. And we're going to see how IntelliJ has a bunch of tools for automating refactoring. So please do read up on do watch the slide deck for code refactoring, and so we'll be doing that. We're also talking a little bit about continuous integration and assigning project 3. So a pretty big class coming up next time, but I think it'll be good. Okay, and with that, that's everything I got. Thank you for real this time, which means you're dismissed.